For startups, committing to security and compliance is vital to growth, and that's exactly where Drata comes in. Drata is the fastest way to achieve and maintain continuous SOC 2, ISO 27001, and HIPAA compliance. Drata customers report saving up to 85% of their time, as much as 500 hours, when using the product compared to doing SOC 2 manually. Learn why Drata is trusted by brands such as Clearco, FullStory, Smart Recruiters, and more. Get 10% off at www.drata.com/TechCrunch. Hi, and welcome to another episode of TechCrunch Live. I'm Nisha Doltambe, and I'll be your host for today. TechCrunch Live is all about helping founders build better venture-backed businesses. Normally, we do this by talking to founders and the investors who finance them, learn a little bit about how they met and why they chose each other. About halfway through the episode today, we'll switch over to the TC Live pitch-off, where you, the folks in the audience, can raise your hand to be selected to pitch your startup to our amazing guests today. For what it's worth, we have had a lot of submissions and are plowing through them right now. But I do want to remind you that we have an episode next week as well with Preeti Chosky and Bianca Gates from Birdies. So you can also come hang out with us next week and pitch your company then if you're not selected now. Today, we are going to do things a little bit differently because we have two amazing guests from Volition Capital who I know you'll want to hear from. First off, we have Jenny. Jenny is an entrepreneur founding two scaled digitally native businesses from scratch, Rent the Runway and Jet Black. She also has joined Volition Capital in 2021 as the company's first venture partner, where she'll focus on internet applications, e-commerce, digital health, and next generation consumer brands. Jenny is currently on the boards of Arteza, Rent the Runway, Apollo SPAC. Fun fact, it is our parent company, Shutterfly, and Party City. Larry Chang. Next, we have Larry Chang, a founding partner of Volition Capital. Larry focuses on investment opportunities in transactional internet applications, e-commerce, digital health, and next-generation consumer brands. Larry was an early-stage investor and served on the boards of a lot of companies that have been acquired, that have exited, such as Chewy, Cortera, Mindshift, and so many more, which we will dive into a little bit later today. So let's get after it. Before we kind of dive in, Jenny, I would love to hear a little bit about the Rent the Runway, 30 seconds on the Rent the Runway origin story. Also, congratulations on the IPO that just took place a couple of weeks ago.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a really incredible moment to kind of process as an entrepreneur all that's happened in 13 years journey. But if I take it back to the early stages, sitting at Harvard Business School with my co-founder, Jen, who had just been with her sister, Becky, and Becky had purchased a dress that was $2,000, far outside of her budget. And it spurred this discussion of how women and fashion have this really unique relationship, and often it feels like it doesn't make sense. And so we kind of thought about why does that exist? And I think the real secret sauce there is the emotional connection and the power of fashion to make a woman feel great and powerful. And that is why we need hundreds of dresses, and why the fashion is such a strong, powerful thing for women. And then we were also looking at the industry dynamics of how things were changing. Fast fashion was on the rise, and thought about, what was a way to support designer fashion and kind of bring this great product to consumers, but in a way that made sense and was more affordable relative to the amount of usage that they were going to have. And so fast forward, we IPO'd a couple of weeks ago. And the team is doing great, and the business is growing strong. So it's been a dream journey.
That's fantastic. And, one of the things that's interesting is back when Rent the Runway started, it wasn't the norm, right? This sharing economy, which I know is not necessarily what we refer to things as now, but that wasn't common back then. That was definitely a new model. What was that like, launching that from the start to a market that wasn't necessarily accustomed to that kind of a business model?
Yeah, it definitely, I remember, really early on speaking at, it's something somewhat like this, and someone asked what trends I was most excited about. And I said the sharing economy and rental in particular, and people laughed. And I was like, well, Really, that's what I think is coming. And for me, I've always been very focused on how do you maximize time. It's like the greatest luxury that we all have. And the idea of sharing resources is this broad theme that you can apply to many different businesses. And, including how do you leverage how do you optimize and leverage the usage of a garment, a piece of clothing. And so it made a lot of sense, from that perspective, but also for me as a consumer. I often think the best businesses are launched when the founder is the end consumer and relates to and is passionate about the use case. So, I think the conviction that Jen and I had in knowing that we as consumers and the, thousands of other women that we spoke to and did initial trunk show tests really saw value in this product just gave us the conviction to keep moving. And, the macro trends really have shifted in this direction to support everything from the sustainability of this concept to the kind of smart, savvy shopper element and the way that it's really beneficial to the designer industry.
Larry, I'm going to kind of throw a question your way.
Sure.
As an investor, you've been an investor for a number of years, and you've seen kind of a lot of new companies, similar to Rent the Runway in terms of breaking the mold. What are things that you look for when you are investing in a company, and specifically a company that might not follow the pattern match that you've had with other companies in the past?
Well, so I've been investing for 23 years, and there's been a number of companies that would sort of fit that mold. I think what I'm looking for is exceptionality paired with some sort of flaw, something that will turn off investors at the same time. So exceptionality may be a tremendous value prop. Customers love it, an amazing market opportunity, and maybe Rent the Runway had all of those. But as Jenny suggested, the flaw at the time was people didn't really believe or understand the sharing economy. And what you'll find is a lot of investors may not believe in a particular market. They might find certain entrepreneurs not exactly what they're looking to back or not experienced enough. They might find the pitch, which we'll see in a little bit, to be very flawed. And so they may be dissuaded from investing in a particular company. And so when you're early on in your investment career, you want to have everything check the boxes. You want perfect market sizes, you want great traction, you want great products, great value prop, excellent teams. But as you grow as an investor, what you realize is you need to decide what risks you're willing to take, because nothing's perfect. And then what exceptionalities will outweigh that risk. And it's that marriage that I think is what I look for in companies.
I think that's really interesting to see that there is a change over time as you've continued in your investment career as well.
Absolutely.
Jenny, I have another question for you around business model and how it's changed over the past years. You had a very specific role in terms of handling so much of the business side of Rent the Runway. I'm curious, from when you started to, say, through your Series A, what were some of the core changes that you made to the business at that time?
Yeah, well, that early on, there honestly wasn't a ton that we changed all that much. When we first started, the category that was clearly the biggest pain point and opportunity was fancy dresses, because when you're going to a black tie event, you're buying something, you're probably spending the most amount of money. Those are the most expensive items. And yet you're most likely to only wear it once or twice. So from a where do I kind of want to invest versus not, those are the dresses that kind of sit in the sad way in people's closets, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So that was the natural place to start. We knew that as the consumers ourselves from surveys and tests that we did with other various consumers. We also spoke to designers and retailers and realized that for them, that was a category that was also a pain point, because many consumers were returning those items after they had worn them and leaving the tags on. So you already saw this kind of illegitimate behavior in that category. What we did do is we always kept our focus on the consumer and the consumer need. And that's actually what led to us to continue to evolve our business. And something that I always look for in companies is obsession with knowing your consumer, going back to the well on what your consumer needs and wants, because behaviors change. So our consumer, yes, initially the dress was a great place to start, but they started asking us, well, what earrings should I wear with this? So pretty soon we launched accessories, and so by our Series A, we had an accessories business, which was a great add-on as long as we were shipping the item and gave the additional value of a styling ability to us. Then we initially didn't have long dresses, right? Gowns, and our customers would ask for them. And we were like, well, what do we do? People are different heights and we don't do alterations. And one of our customers said, well, why don't you pre-alter into different lengths? So these ideas that authentically came from being the person on the customer service line often, right? Those calls rolled over to Jen and my cell phones. And on Saturdays, we picked up the phones, we delivered orders so that we kind of, could see the look on their face when the package arrived. Getting your hands in there to be close to that consumer, I think, is key to evolving the business.
there's a little bit of a balance that takes place for founders between the vision of the business that they have and how consumers respond to it. How do you strike that balance? At what point do you say, you know, I know that people are asking for this, but we really need to keep our eyes on this part of the business instead?
Yeah, so I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to like stay somewhat focused, especially early on. Like there's always going to be, if you're an entrepreneurial mind, as I am, there's always going to be this shiny penny. There's always going to be something that's tempting. The intrigue of like, what else could I do? What could I do additionally? And I think it's like plotting a way to prove out the core business first is really key. And the add-ons can come kind of after the fact. You can tuck them away. But then there's different types of evolutions and add-ons, some that are hugely incremental amounts of work and some that may not be. So for us, you know, adding accessories, like there was a cost to buy that inventory and to understand the right inventory to buy, but the technology, the logistics, like the pieces that were really expensive and hard, like that actually was streamlined and fit in with our business. What I always do try to do, and what we did for Rent the Runway would be to test concepts, not just in the beginning. It's something I look for with investing too, where you've tested the concept in a really scrappy, low frills way with consumers, but also as you continue to go. So we tested accessories before we like bought millions of dollars of inventory, right? We kept getting questions from customers around retail, physical spaces, and we resisted it. We didn't want to do that. So that was an instance we said, no, that's not our model. That's not we believe the future of how you shop is going to be. And eventually we're like, okay, like, let's try it. Let's see. And so I think it's that balance of like, yes, staying true to like your core vision, but after hearing something enough, finding like a scrappy way that's not going to distract too many resources from the business to at the right time, kind of dip your toe in the water and see what else could be out there.
Larry, as an investor, how do you respond to when a company is shifting what they're looking at from a product line perspective? And what is something that has been a success marker and what is something that would be a red flag for you?
I think shifting may be a pejorative term. I think it's a natural for a business over time to expand their product line. And one simple way to think about it, and to a certain degree, that's what Rent the Runway did, is what does the customer do right after they use their product or right before they use their product? And that can be for an enterprise business. It can be for a consumer business. Like you're expanding your use case within their experience and within their customer need. That is very natural. But I think what Jenny said is appropriate. At the beginning, you don't want to start too broad. You really want to get one product lined up to one single need and hit that seam really, really well. It's much more important to get raving fans right at the start because you've met one specific need exceptionally well. That's much better than sort of fulfilling a need moderately well, but many of them. And then you've kind of earned the right to engage with your customer on a broader level, to provide more services, more products, and ultimately earn more of their business. And so I think it's great to paint a product roadmap in the future, but you have to marry that with being very focused out of the gate, because I think those two sort of opposite attributes are what leads to success.
I also, just to tack onto that, sometimes I think about it as like building bridges, because if you're changing consumer behavior as we work around the runway, you want to start with the area that's the biggest pain point for a consumer and that's maybe the most similar to an existing behavior that they have. Women have borrowed dresses from their friends, from their mom, et cetera, for siblings, for ages, right? They do this behavior in a physical retail store where they rent the runway by renting and then returning in the store. Like these were things that existed. So I think if you draft onto that and kind of say, you know what, like this isn't that different, you can gradually earn the right from the consumer, but also from the industry to get more comfortable with going into more categories. So a lot of these businesses are like dual-sided, where for us, we work directly with designers, and it's been very important for us to evolve with that industry at the pace that's appropriate for kind of both sides so that we could have the most healthy ecosystem. At Jet Black, where I worked on for Walmart, we offered text-based shopping, and that now powers Walmart text shopping. Well, there's a lot of voice apps and programs out there, Alexa, Google Home, et cetera. Those actually aren't as useful or comfortable for consumers to shop on just yet, but text is. So that to me is a bridge where I think eventually we will shop with our voices. So I think always looking for this, you know, Amazon started with books. Like, what is kind of your first foot in the door? You build, you learn, and then you can continue to bring the consumer along for the ride.
Fantastic. So the last kind of Rent the Runway question I have for you is, one of the choices that y'all made early on was to own the inventory that you're renting out. What was the impetus for that choice versus, say, partnering with a Nordstrom's and renting from them and then giving it back?
Yeah, so we explored lots of different ways of accessing the right inventory and working with the industry. And it actually relates to my prior comment where some of what we did relates to building bridges with what was most comfortable to not just the consumer behavior, but like the industry and the designers behavior to date. So at that moment, you rewind 13 years, many retailers and designers were just launching their own websites. Like I think at that time, Lord & Taylor had launched their website like 2 years earlier. Like it was still very new to even sell stuff online, let alone the idea of renting online. So to do things, the amount of change that I think an industry can tolerate and be comfortable with is just not that much. So the more we were able to act in a traditional way, how they sold at wholesale cost to a retailer, I think the easier it was to kind of sell to many of those initial designer partners with us, and also to get the inventory that we wanted. So we knew that for us, we weren't renting just a dress. We were renting the experience. It was that emotional feeling when you put on a great dress and you style it with the right earring, like you feel like you can take on the world. And so we were renting this feeling of like being Cinderella for that night. And in order to do that, we needed the whole experience to feel aspirational. We needed great designers. We needed them to agree to work with us. We needed their best inventory, really editorial styles that were like picture worthy, compliment worthy, all these things that would spur on viral word of mouth. And in order to do that, we really worked in partnership with the designer industry of like what was comfortable, what was the best win for both sides. Now, again, if it's building bridges, like the way we work with many of our designer partners today is on a revenue share basis, is in these kind of more creative collaborative partnerships where there's still like a win-win for both sides, but it is quite different than the initial way that we first started.
Well, congratulations again. That's really, it's clear that the business has been doing well. So excited to see what next steps are in the stars for Rent the Runway. But you are now at Volition. So I would love to take a second transition there and see how did the two of you connect? What made this happen?
Well, Jenny's a known quantity as an internet entrepreneur, and we were looking for someone that would bring a different perspective, more of an operating background, empathy for the entrepreneur, and a different set of experiences inside a growing and very successful number of venture-backed companies. And so Jenny really was a natural. And Jenny also is a rather prolific seed investor. So she's had some experience with the investing hat, but growth equity was new for her. So we definitely believe at Volition that a complementary set of perspectives and experiences is the way you add the most value to your companies, the way you make the best decisions. And Jenny obviously helped to balance out a firm that was very sort of investor oriented, and we're continuing to look to add more operating experience to the firm. And it's been a great marriage. We were at a board meeting for Arteza just earlier this morning, and both of us were there. And so it's great to bring different perspectives even to the same company.
Jenny, what made Volition, the investment firm that you wanted to join?
Yeah, well, a couple things. Larry is a great investor and a great person. And I do think like the teams that you join, the people you work with and surround yourself with is like, they've got to make you happy. That's got to make you tick on a day-to-day basis. I never underestimate that. And it was the case with Rent the Runway as well. And the boards I'm on, like, you got to genuinely love the people, love the product. And then I really appreciate what Larry said, that they are looking for and want people that are different, people that will challenge themselves, and they know that that's how to build the strongest firm. And clearly I came from a very different background, and they were welcoming, and I felt the incremental value I could add because of that was really big. The other thing that I appreciated and appreciate even so much more now is it is a firm that really goes to bat in digging in and helping entrepreneurs, not just with a check, but with resources, recruiting being one, marketing resource, boots on the ground in the absence of a financial, let's say a company doesn't have a CFO at the moment, like jumping in there and just making sure that like we're really in it with the founders as partners. And I saw a couple of moments at Rent the Runway, how those were game-changing things that we were lucky to have from our investors. So I really respect that. And then I would also say, this is a business in the growth equity space where we win, and our playbook is like, we want every business to return huge multiples, right? And, at the very least, we want them to like succeed. And so it's not the venture one in 10 is a unicorn. This is, if a business is not doing that well, like we will double down in helping that business. And so having been an entrepreneur and knowing that like, this is your baby, you want the investor who's going to like bear hug you the moments you need it the most, which are often not when you're up and to the right. And so I really respect that. And I think it's a differentiator here.
So I would love to actually dive into the investment side a little bit more. A lot of the folks who are listening right now are founders who are either trying to secure funding or have secured funding. One of the challenges that founders have come across is how transparent to be with their investors. There's no early stage startup that is without challenges. What is the degree to which that you as an investor, both of you, would like to see from a founder? What is too much and what is the right amount?
I think if I was playing back my relationships with entrepreneurs, it's never a bad thing to share good news with your investors. So no investor is going to complain about that. So shoot a note with the good news. And it's never a bad thing to be transparent and over communicate on the bad news. And so I think it's very easy. Share the good news and share the bad news. There's this big middle, which is, should I occupy my investors' time with this? And I would say if something's trending towards bad news, good to give us the heads up. If something is trending towards good news, you might want to hold that back until it's more baked. But if you have any questions or if you need any help in anything in the middle, that's always fair game. But I think, and especially in the early days of a relationship with your investor. So if you're listening and you've just taken investment, communicating and over communicating is never a bad thing because it builds trust, and then trust is what helps just to bridge a relationship through good times and bad.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. I think that communication is a super important tool, and it's about balancing the amount of communication where you're giving and where you're asking. So that's one piece, right? Because of these amazing resources beyond a check that firms, and I'd say Volition, can offer. There should be times where you ask for recruiting help, or you ask for advice or guidance or an introduction to we have a great strategic advisory board or the CEO of Wayfair, right? You ask for these things. And so I think it's having this self-awareness of that balance. I think it's also having self-awareness and thoughtfulness around the time of the investing in partner, right? And so thinking about, how do I make best use of the session, right? If I'm asking for 30-minute call every week, is there an agenda? I know what I want to get through. I'm following up on all the asks. And so I think that then makes you feel like, wow, I really helped this business. That was a meaningful use of my time in a way that was respected. And so I think, again, it comes back to time is the greatest luxury in kind of every facet, and kind of having that sensibility matters a lot. I often look for co-founders. I mean, obviously I was a co-founder, but I think sometimes having a co-founder takes away from that middle area, what Larry was talking about, where you're running a business, there's a lot going on, especially if you work for, let's say it was your first time taking money, there's probably a lot you are going to want to talk to someone about. And so I think if you don't have a co-founder to stress with, or just bat things off with, then you can sometimes be inclined to go to an investor. And those might be better served for you don't have a co-founder, an advisor that you take on, or you might want to find some other people who for different categories can kind of be that brain partner for you.
I want to explore, Larry, a little bit about your seat on some of the boards that you sit on. Investors are really a long-term relationship. It's a marriage between the founders and their investors. You are on the boards of some interesting companies, including GameStop. So that definitely hit the news circuit pretty wildly, as everybody knows. What was that like on the investor side, kind of seeing that pop up?
Just to be clear, Volition is not an investor in GameStop, but my engagement with GameStop was born because the chairman of GameStop today was the founder of Chewy, and we were the first investor in Chewy.
Got it. Okay.
I'm actually looking at Chewy's offices right now outside of my hotel room, ironically, and we went on that journey together. It was me and Ryan Cohen, who I actually had dinner with last night. But we went on that journey, and Ryan decided to take an activist position in GameStop, and when he took over the board, he asked me to help out, and so I was happy to do that. And I guess that goes to show that there's a relationship that extends with your entrepreneurs and your founders, even beyond the company that you've invested in. And I always think you got to think the long game, not just for that specific investment or transaction, but just who do you want to be in this world, and what type of person do you want to be, and what do you want to be known for? And I'm thankful to have Ryan's trust, and it's been quite a journey. I've learned a lot on the GameStop board. There's a tremendous amount of support within the retail community for this company. They have changed the course of this company with their support. They continue to change the course of this company, and certain companies stand for more than just a company, and GameStop is certainly one of them. And it will be an interesting journey in the early innings, but but it's exciting to be a part of it.
So when you say that, when you see that, it's more than what it once was, talk to me a little bit more about that.
Well, obviously, it's going through a transformation that we are leading and Ryan's spearheading. And there's been a new CEO that's been brought on board and largely a new executive team that's been brought on board. There's a whole new capital base into the business that we've been able to secure. So we're trying to position GameStop for the next season of its life, and that's not something that happens very often in the context of an established public company. And so it's an exciting time. I think a lot of public company boards I can't imagine are like GameStop's, where it actually is a little bit more like a private company board, where all the things that Jenny described that she might have had with board members that run the Runway and what we bring to the companies that we invest in, that's kind of more like the way the GameStop board functions. Whereas in a lot of public companies, it's more of a governing role. So it's a fun journey to move a big ship, but it's great to have so much support from a really broad set of broad community out there.
So I want to talk a little bit about your experience with Chewy, because that also had a successful exit. What do you feel from an investor perspective? What do you feel were the top, 2 things or 3 things that the founders of Chewy did that you're like, this is what every company needs to do?
Totally. So when I mentioned earlier exceptionality paired with flaws, the exceptionality we saw at Chewy was that the customers became customers and they never stopped. They just kept buying from Chewy over and over and again, and you could look out for years, and they never stopped being customers. And I think the reason for that was because Chewy did an amazing job with customer service, amazing job with pricing. They started with the customer experience they wanted to give the end customer, and they built the entire business to be the best pet food e-commerce company on the planet, and they accomplished that. They beat Amazon in the category. We did crazy things like we would have our customer service reps stay on the phone with customers as long as those customers wanted. So the longest talk time on any given day between a customer service rep and a customer at Chewy was over 2 hours. That's talking about your 10 cats for 2 hours. And that was not discouraged, that was encouraged. We did crazy things like if you send in a picture of your pet, we might just send you back a painting of your pet through a number of Miami artists that we would work with. If your pet passed away, we would send you flowers. You would stop being our customer, but we would send you flowers just to share our condolences. And Ryan would write handwritten cards around the holidays to customers. And so there was just all sorts of things that we did. We decided to insource fulfillment and own our fulfillment, which is a major expense because we wanted to be able to take an order at 8 p.m. at night and get it out at 10 p.m. at night. As opposed to waiting for other cycles if you're subject to a third-party fulfillment center. And so there was just a lot of non-traditional things that we did in that journey to wow the customer. But by wowing the customer, we kept them forever. And by keeping them forever, we built a really valuable business. The flaw with Chewy at the time that we invested, to just paint that picture, was no one wanted to invest in pet food e-commerce. Pets.com was a failed example in the bubble. People thought Amazon dominated e-commerce. There weren't a lot of e-commerce exits at the time, but we kind of looked past the challenges of building a pet food e-commerce company and just looked at the customers. And we said, customers love this service. They are coming back forever and ever. So they've got something right. And we were able to scale that to be a significant player.
So would you consider the customer service angle to be the thing that helped Chewy beat Amazon? Because quite frankly, that is very hard to do for a lot of e-commerce platforms and pretty significant in itself.
100%. I think that was definitely part of it, a significant part of it. Amazon's a really great everything store, but it's not a great pet food store. When you have a more considered purchase, you want to have more information. It's an emotional purchase. Amazon's a transactional large retailer, and that we went for exactly the opposite. And so that's why we wanted to handhold our customers through their experience. And when you call a customer service rep at Chewy, they are pet lovers. They're experts on pet food. And when you call a customer service rep on Amazon, which I did, and you try and get them to talk about pet food, they don't know anything about pet food. And the best you can do is after 25 minutes, get them to read a label that's on the actual website. And so it wasn't hard to beat Amazon on service. It's actually quite easy because they're just so big. And that's their strength, but it's a weakness at the same time.
Well, both of you have really highlighted the impact of listening to the customer and incorporating the customer into how you build and run companies. Normally during our TechCrunch Lives, we look at pitch decks. However, since we're not doing that now, before we transition to the pitch off portion, I wanted to hear, 2 or 3 quick things from each of you as to what do you look for in a pitch deck that might be different than another investor? What is something that specifically for each of you, it stands out when you're looking at a pitch deck?
Sure. So for me, 2 things that I look for. One is like customer obsession. So customers have got to love this business and then some, especially in the early stages. And related to that, like there has to be a significant portion of the deck that is about knowing the customer and showing that they have worked hard to get to know this customer and to get feedback and incorporate them into the evolution of the business. And then the second thing is showing that there's been some progress to date. So there is always something that an entrepreneur can do to get started. And anyone who just has a deck and kind of an idea is, to me, an immediate pass. It's like, you've got to show that you got out there, you schlepped, a set of 10 of your dresses to a college campus and had women try them on and see if they would pay you real dollars to know that there was something here that's worth kind of raising money for.
Excellent, Larry.
I'll twist your question a little bit. We have this program called Flash Feedback on our Volition website where I actually provide feedback to pitch decks, to entrepreneurs on their pitch deck. And I've probably done this 100 times and entrepreneurs submitted. And I'll give you a couple of thoughts that I've seen across many, many pitch decks. Number one, you got to start fast with the pitch deck, meaning put your best 3 slides, the most compelling slides, the best data, the best validation right up front in the pitch deck. Throw out any paradigm of you have to have the market size slide with the competitive slide with the bubbles that shows that you have better product, all that stuff. Throw it all out, whatever the best 3 slides are, put them up front because the goal is to raise the pulse of the reader because they're excited. And so if you get me excited in the first 2 or 3 slides, I will stick with you till the end. But if you don't, you might not get the reader to stay all the way through the end. The complementary point to that is less is more. So make it 1 point per slide, 1 clear and compelling point with the least words possible. And so what you'll see is slides with 7 bullet points and 5 charts all smushed together. And as a reader, we don't know what you're trying to say and it's too noisy. And so if there's 1 data point that makes the point or 1 statement that makes the point, less is more and make it clearly. So hopefully you have a 10 or 15 slide pitch deck with 10 or 15 very clear points with the best 3 points right at the start. And by the end, I'm really excited and want to take the next step.
Excellent. I know our founders are very excited to hear that. And hopefully one day somebody will be pitching you, which is actually going to happen right now. We have 3 companies set up to be pitching to the both of you. They'll have exactly 2 minutes to pitch. And then y'all can give them feedback and also ask any questions that you might have about their company, their business model, or whatever. We'll give our feedback and then move on to the next company when we're done. So first up, we have Jennifer from Maid. We'll go ahead and bring her up, and there'll be a 2-minute timer as well for her.
Hello.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too. All right, whenever you're ready, you can get started.
Awesome. Okay, well, hello, everybody. I am Jen Edmond, founder and CEO of Maid, a platform introducing instant booking, wedding financing, and event management to both vendors and engaged couples, all under one trusted third party. Our platform allows engaged couples to efficiently shop for wedding services in a curated marketplace of the country's top venues and vendors. With an expected 2.6 million weddings in 2022 with a projected spend of $60 billion in vendor bookings alone, we are entering into the biggest year in wedding history. We haven't even launched officially yet. We already have over $3 million worth of services in couples' carts, 40,000 unique users, and over 5,000 vendors in our network. We will make an average of $23,400 in revenue per vendor. And with the network size we have, we believe we can capture 0.16% of the market in the next 2 years. Within 5 years, we're expected to be countrywide with an estimated 30,000 vendors, growing our market capture to 1.2%. Maid is the first platform to incorporate financing and an instant booking marketplace that serves both small businesses and users. We envision this incredible platform to extend well beyond weddings and beyond the US to becoming the go-to booking and financing tool for all events across the globe. I was a wedding and events planner for 10 years before starting Day Maid, and I knew I had to do something about modernizing our very antiquated and super fragmented industry. Day Maid is the very first platform in the world to be built by vendors, for vendors, and that is essentially why we have the unfair advantage as a team of domain experts. This is the future of event booking, and we are already proving it as a startup in pre-launch. And we are raising $3 million in seed plus money. We are venture backed by X Factor Ventures and Chatter Fund, and that's Day Maid. Thanks for having me.
That was
amazing. Great. 23 seconds to spare.
Way to go. Awesome. Jenny, why don't you go ahead and start?
First off, amazing job. Like legitimately, you did a fantastic job. You identified the problem, the market size. You've clearly made some traction in kind of like getting customers in demand and showing that you can get these services booked onto the platform. Your background seems relevant. You seem really passionate about the idea as well. I think there's a couple little things in the presentation. Of course, you went fast. You had 2 minutes, but I think, slowing down to really hit some of the points is important. Making eye contact. And like, we're living in a Zoom world right now. There will be some pitches that you do on Zoom, but like the eye contact matters. Like the moments we were lifting our eyes, like already felt like I was there, I was with you. It's just like so much of pitching is sales. And it's like a little bit of like the sales 101 element. Would love to hear a little bit of like what else exists out there as a potential competitor. What are the alternates that like a woman or someone today would use? And then to maybe like materialize a little bit of like the bigger vision of, like today we're servicing weddings, like here, like just throughout some of the types of events, like clearly if someone has a wedding, like eventually they're going to have a baby shower, they're going to have, like a housewarming, because we know that predictability of that consumer. So you can kind of make sure this like lifetime value and this like repeat usage of the consumer is starting to spark in an investor's mind.
Excellent. Thank you.
I thought you did a great job too. I might suggest starting with your background, because when you know the problem and you've experienced it, you suddenly have positioned yourself as an expert. I actually believe the entire story more. So if you would have started with, I was a wedding planner, and this is the problem that I saw all of my clients have, and here's how I've solved it. I think that would have been a great entry point. I actually didn't hear in your pitch what exactly is the problem you're trying to solve. I think you might have inferred that we all understand that planning a wedding is a pain, but even specifically what you're trying to solve could have been a little bit more clear. I was wondering as you were talking, so I suspect other investors might, I have heard various iterations of different online wedding sites and so forth. And so I just wanted to know why this is different. What's changed about the market? What's changed about what you can do? But the other thing that I was thinking in my head while you were speaking is a broad sort of marketplace across the country to serve all wedding needs sounds very, very hard. And so you need to build density within a very specific locale to service a customer well. And so maybe a little bit on whether you're planning to execute in a very narrow way from this very broad vision might have made it seem a little bit more accessible and believable. But overall, I thought what you did well was there was a lot of data behind the market. It was very clear what you're trying to accomplish. But so I thought that was excellent. Maybe you could comment, because Jenny raised it as well. What are you doing that's different and that hasn't been addressed before, or why now?
Oh, please. Yes. Thank you. So the current solutions out there right now, you've heard of like the Knot.com, Wedding Wire. These are all ad space for vendors. They just make a listing, and then you as the customer, you have to go find them, source them, contact them, ask how much they cost, see if they're available. Then it's a lot of back and forth. You don't know, because nothing is actually transparent or evident. All of the vendor calendars on Day Maid are actually synced up. You see every single price. You can customize it to be exactly the way you want, and then you can book everybody all in one place at the same time or over time, and then finance it all at once as well. So there's no way to actually finance your event anywhere. You have to like drop like tens of thousands of dollars all at once, and then usually in 2 big chunks. And then you have to manage all of these different payment plans and project management, whatever the vendor decides to use, which a lot of times right now it's so antiquated. They're literally still handwriting receipts. You manage everything in a binder, an Excel spreadsheet, because there's no tools in between. So this is the big in between. We can actually work with our competitors. So the Knot.com can be a partner. We don't want them to disappear. I think they have a huge platform and so many users and also great tools that we don't need, but we have something that they could really use and we can work together. So essentially,
I love that.
Something different.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's really interesting. I would also just say that I want to be able to understand when you talk about like how big this business can be and how big the market is, like what % take rate, what % revenue, like are you thinking, what's your go to market to make this happen? What is your timeline? And like, how are you going to use the $3 million? We're short on time. So I get all of those things, but I think that helps crystallize some of what you're saying. It's like, I would say like show, don't tell of like what you're saying of how you're differentiated will also come to light in the process of like taking a customer through that journey. Another stat that I feel like is just really powerful in identifying like the problem, the opportunity is the amount the average consumer in the US spends on their wedding is bonkers. Like I remember looking at this at one point relative to their actual income. So the financing fintech angle, like I actually think that could be huge, right? Like everyone knows fintech is a huge category, and like getting you at this moment where like you're merging finances with your spouse in many instances, you need new financial planning tools as a family. Like that seems really interesting to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. We're just about out of time. So thank you so much, Jennifer. And we will go ahead and move on to the next company. Next up, we have Josh from Have Need. Josh, why don't you go ahead and pop on over to us? I actually, fun fact, was a wedding coordinator for 10 years. So I heard what she was building and I was like, oh, this has a lot of relevance. All right, let's get Josh up. Awesome. Hey, Josh,
Hi.
Good to see you.
Hi, how y'all doing? Can you hear me all right?
Yep, we got you.
Great.
Why don't you go ahead and get started? And we'll start the timer for you.
I, in fact, was not a wedding coordinator. So my name is Josh Klein, and I'm the founder and CEO of Have Need. Have Need is the first consumer multi-party barter platform for goods and services. That's a mouthful. So what does it mean? We enable people to trade goods and services at a scale never before possible. And we did this by virtue of developing a multi-party trading architecture for our marketplace. Quick fact, that's loosely based on how we do organ transplants in America. And it's been absolutely life-saving in other marketplaces where you're not allowed to use cash. The problem that we're solving here is that for the majority of Americans, even prior to the pandemic, they were not capable of actually absorbing a $500 emergency without going into debt. So that may not be what we think about in our day-to-day lives, but actually, that was pre-pandemic in America, the richest country in the world. So globally, this is a massive problem because most people don't actually have access to stable currency, but they do have smartphones and they do have internet access at a growing rate. Quickly, my background, I've got a 25-year or so history in production technology and media technology. I'm a 3-time startup founder. I'm a Tech Emmy winner. And most recently, I was the head of media and entertainment at Box. I left in 2017 to focus full-time on Have Need because I wanted to do something more impactful. This is a massive market. I've taken way too long, but the secondhand economy, as Jenny well knows, is a massive market. And we occupy a unique space in that. And we want to make barter a meaningful component of the global economy.
Excellent. Thank you for that. All right, why don't we go ahead and start off with Larry this time?
Josh, thanks so much. I was very intrigued with your opening, but I did not leave the 2 minutes quite understanding exactly what this company does, to be honest. And I think it might have been clarified with some target use cases that you imagine being on this platform, unless organ transplants is the target use case. I'm guessing it's not.
No,
but that was the only specific example I got. So it actually, if that's not good, it kind of threw me off track a little bit. But sometimes when you have a very broad enabling platform, the way to synthesize it for an investor is to say, here's the first 1 or 2 use cases that we think are really going to hit well. Mm-hmm. eBay, it was Beanie Babies. Like they're trading Beanie, whatever it may be. Facebook, it's college dating. And so I would love to know what that is actually, because you had me intrigued. I'm just not sure I can visualize it.
Well, it's some like high velocity categories that we think about include sport, kids, apparel, and sporting equipment. I have a teenage son, and I've seen him grow from nothing to taller than me. And so he's outgrown everything. He's a competitive athlete. So it's not just clothes, it's sporting equipment. I also look around my own community over the years and see that we're doing this manually in a very non-scalable, inefficient way. We are sharing ski equipment, sporting equipment, and it's all done through our personal networks. So that's one area where we do it. Electronics is obviously another area where there's a lot of churn. Any category where there's an awful lot of churn. But something that's come up of late, especially during the pandemic, but was already on the rise, is remote services. My son had a tutor that was based in New York, used to tutor him in Latin, which was a lot for him to deal with. And his tutor was over Skype. So I knew that we were entering an era of remote services. So with a multi-party architecture, I could actually trade something in my own neighborhood, and that person could trade something to somebody elsewhere in the world, and I could get a remote service in exchange for that. So it doesn't just have to be whether I can hand it off to somebody local to me. So those are high velocity categories we look at.
So I want to jump in here real quick. I'm an avid user of things like OfferUp and Buy Nothing. I want to understand a little bit more about the architecture of what you're describing. How do you actually go about making those connections? I mean, even for, organ transplants is the example that you gave. Yeah. Setting that up is a very complicated process. So what does the architecture actually look like?
So more complicated for organ transplants, for sure. We don't think we're doing life and death work. But basically, individuals who onboard to the platform, just like OfferUp or eBay or anything else, you're going to add some items. In those cases, you're adding items to sell them. In our case, for Have Need, you're going to add haves and needs. And algorithmically, we're going to match those haves and needs across everybody else in the platform. Either in private groups, we're in a beta right now. We've been in beta since March, and we're using only private groups. Or when we launch later in the year publicly, we'll match you against users throughout the system. And we'll go up to 5 individuals in any one transaction. We call that a barter loop. And the way our technology works is, by going out to 5 people in any one transaction, we're actually able to create up to about 300 times more trade opportunities for any one item than in traditional legacy barter systems. That's the game changer here.
Thanks. Jenny?
So I had a lot of similar comments and questions as Larry did. I always go with this like show, don't tell. So the more you can like paint a picture with these use cases, even as a way you start, like that's how we always started our Rent the Runway pitches. Even videos of like trials we had done with customers or like testimonials of them talking about how different and emotionally charged they felt putting on a great designer dress. So you can like feel and see the use case. I think that's very powerful. The other thing I was looking for is just like, what have you done to date to validate, improve, and get this started? So like, where are you in the journey? Have you, like, I can imagine doing this out of your garage, right? In some way. And like Saturdays, you're like, hey, like you post them up, you email some friends, we're going to like have some stuff here, bring your stuff, let's trade. Like, I want to like see what this happens in like, both to like see your scrappy hustle factor, but also to like understand more of the feedback loop from the customer and to show that like you're obsessed with the idea, but also with like, how does the customer engage with this and what have you learned from your customer?
Yeah, so I've got very little time, but I'll say even before we had an app built, we did an in real life pilot project with the Agassi Foundation and the USTA Foundation at a tennis tournament where we brought in underprivileged kids from I'm in Los Angeles, but in the Las Vegas area, we brought in underprivileged kids. We provided them with tennis apparel and equipment and instruction. And in multi-party transactions, we had 100 kids out, and it was frankly one of the best days of my life to see how these kids were affected by the day, but we proved it out in real life. And so, we continue to work with those organizations.
Nice.
Well, with that, we have got to end. Congratulations on the soft launch of your company. Next up, we have Shoshi from Ring On. We'll go ahead and bring up Shoshi. And again, you'll have 2 minutes to pitch, and then we'll have a couple minutes to give feedback and also ask questions.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see your very cute pup.
It's a Chewy customer.
Great, thank you.
Brownie
Fantastic.
points.
Why don't we go ahead and get started? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Shoshi, originally from Israel, currently from Houston, Texas, y'all. Let me tell you a little bit about Ring On. The idea behind it was to create something for children to signal for help. What I realized at some point is that school kids, while they are interacting with many different adults, they have no way of really signaling for help unless they have a cell phone. But giving small kids a smartphone actually endangers them even more. And the only way they can signal for help is scream. But what if their screaming ability is gone by the perpetrator just covering their mouth? And what came to me as a veteran of one of the elite units in the IDF, where I was trained to get out of all sorts of situations, I figured that even if we take the most extreme situation of kidnapping or being tied with the hands tied or behind your back or pinned to the floor, to the wall, and you can't reach anything or scream, you can still always reach with your thumb to your ring finger. Try that. Even if your hands are behind your back or you're at a gunpoint, you can do that on both hands. So what I created and patented is a ring with a toggle switch. When you activate the toggle, it actually calls someone else, your parents or whoever you designated if you're not a child. They see your location and they hear what's happening because there's a microphone, obviously recorded, etc. For even more security reasons, one of the features being that when the ring is removed, it automatically triggers the alert, because who will be removing electronics and tossing them away? The social impact angle is to take care of those kids in underserved communities because they cannot afford to buy that, and we need to take care as a society of all the children and protect them. I know I spoke about trafficking or kidnapping, but even bullying or any other kind of assault, this can be there for help.
Great, thank you. We're at 2 minutes. All right, Jenny, let's go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, well, as a mom of 3 kids, like this definitely spoke to me, and I was like, yes, I would buy this in a heartbeat. It also sounds like you've already created the product, which is incredible in terms of just showing like progress and traction that you've made, and that it's interesting technology. I mean, the fact that it can like let you hear the conversation around, not just kind of send this trigger beacon. And I think there's a lot of use cases, as you kind of alluded to as well. I'd love to kind of better understand if, where are you in this process? Like, you have the product, did you start to like sell it? Have you like done any, pre-sales, Kickstarters, et cetera? Also want to understand like the cost dynamics a little, like how much does it cost for you to make this product? How much do you plan to sell it for? So I understand like the target market size, because if you don't put the market size out there, then the investor behind the scenes is like trying to figure that out themselves. And given like what you mentioned, where there's a social mission, which I think is great, love businesses with a social mission, it would be amazing if someone, when they buy a ring for their kid, one also goes to a child in need who otherwise cannot afford it or something, right? But so you need to understand the margins and kind of the vision can unlock something like that. And then more on this kind of like go-to-market plan. One thing that strikes me though is the bigger this business gets, the more likely that kidnappers and all these bad wrongdoers are going to know about the product. So I don't know if like cutting off kids' hands or fingers, like as morbid as it sounds, like at some point it's kind of like the bigger and more successful you get, does this product stop working in some ways? That was also kind of something that was going through my head as well.
That was morbid, Jenny.
I know.
Those were amazing questions. I'm going to be very quick to try to squeeze everything in the minutes I have left. So actually, there are 5,000 orders from parents, word of mouth. They even occurred before I launched the website a month ago.
Great sign.
Yes, ma'am. I am planning a pre-sale campaign. Not sure it's going to be Kickstarter. I'm thinking of doing it privately, converting those 5,000 orders into cash, starting, the manufacturing process. The cost, the retail price currently is set at $99. I'm looking at my competition as being GPS trackers, those that track the backpack, not the child, but none of them has a panic button, and there are, unfortunately, I didn't find any panic buttons for kids. So I'm kind of creating a new category of a GPS tracker with a panic button. And the GPS trackers are around $150, between $50 and $150. So I think $99 is a good point to start with. Our plan of going to market is actually twofold: B2C, direct, and B2B2C. Hospitals already order that, Baylor. Theme parks, Disney, Girl Scouts. I can think about, and I already have, knock on wood, a pilot with a private, great big private school here who said, if it goes well, we want 3,000 rings that we can customize for our uniform. I'm like, not a problem, just, put the order in. So the demand is there. And as you mentioned, and I think it's very important to mention as well, is the other use cases: elderly, real estate agents, single women, college kids. There are many rings I'm planning to create, different brands, different styles, because obviously a college kid will not want to wear what a 7-year-old is wearing. And the demand is there. So that's the plan right now. I'm raising capital. We're fully bootstrapped, raising capital exactly for that. Manufacturing actually shifts, depends on the crisis we have, logistical crisis. I am planning on manufacturing in the US. 2 reasons. First, I don't want my shipment to get stuck in whatever waters. And 2, I think that parents in the US putting something that tracks their child 24/7 and records them might be confident seeing made in the US other than made in somewhere else. And also it's about quantities right now. So I know that the first batch will probably be 10,000 rings. The 5,000 I already have, and with a few ads on social media, we can get to 10,000, and that can get the business running. There's enough margin.
Right. Shoshi, I'm going to actually pause you for a second because I want to make sure that Larry has a chance to ask a question as well. But you got some good content in there. I can see them both nodding curiously.
I would say if there's one thing, convince me that customers or prospects want to buy it at your price point. And so when you're creating a new product, a new category, which this is, it is solving a big problem for that moment. The question is, will customers pay for that, for the possibility of that moment? And it's invaluable when it happens, but there's a long investment. And so the more customer research you could do, that you can share right in the original, at the opening of the pitch, the more validation you have, like the 5,000 pre-orders, I would have put that into the first 2 minutes, and that will help get the investor's mind to say, okay, I think this, the dog will eat the dog food in this case.
Awesome. Well, with that, we are actually just about out of time. Thank you so much, Shoshi, for coming on. And it was great having you. All right. Well, also, Larry Chang and Jenny Fleiss, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that the entrepreneurs have had a great time listening to you, getting feedback and key points and tips. And if there is a way that you would prefer that they contact you, let us know. I'm assuming via email from your websites would do.
Larry at volitioncapital.com. And is it Jenny or
Jenny?
Jenny.
J-E-N-N-Y.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. For the folks who are listening, TechCrunch Live goes down every Wednesday at noon Pacific and 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And with that, we're out for today. See you next week.